A SOUQ morning once again as we start a beautiful progressive week. My name is Ikenna Mbah and you're on to SOUQ Business Landscape. You know, the show where we talk about headlines from across the world as pertaining to business, investments, markets, everything that would put money in your pockets. Remember, the way you can interact, engage with us is with the hashtag SBL on social media across board. My name is Ikenna Mbah, and with me today is my usual anti-usualist guest. His name is Dr. Osamhanze.
Good SOUQ, good Nigeria.
How are you doing, sir? How are you feeling this week?
I am so excited.
There's so much seems to be going on right now. Quickly,
Yes,
like
I'm so excited.
positive things.
Yeah, so those things that you like to see, they are happening, so you cannot but be elated.
Is there anything you want to tell us about that's happening this morning?
I can't wait to see the R104.9.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they die.
Right? All right. Thank you for being here with us. We jump right onto it. Business Day. Nigeria's food crisis seen worsening as costs triple. It's reported that the country risks anger of the hungry, which is not something that is good to look forward to. And it's also been said that the planting season missed at the rain's peak, which is not a good combination, Doc.
Oh yeah, it's not really. There are a whole lot of things that's worsening the full challenge in Nigeria, and number one of it is actually the challenge of insecurity that, of course, has created a whole lot of destabilization in the food chain supplies, and that has not been really good. A lot of people who want to go to the farm are afraid to go to farm. People are changing lifestyle because of our inability to deal with the challenge of security. And this, of course, again, push like they say, security is everybody's business.
Right.
And it's not something that we have to leave for government alone. Traditional rulers, stakeholders in communities, everybody must come together to see how to really secure our environment so that people can have access to their farmlands and then be able to plant. And then the second thing is also the global financial crisis or economic crisis, let's put it that way, resulting from surges in terms of price of items.
Down.
You can imagine how much fertilizer sells right now. So farm inputs are getting much more expensive, and to that very extent, what will you see? You find that the input getting into the farm is a big challenge. Now, you also have the climate issue on the other side. So all these things are the things that are putting together to worsen the food situation in Nigeria. But above all, is also to see the, how do I put it now? The traditional way of farming is also not attractive to young folks. So we hide under the guise of these other things to run away from the rating, which is how to feed ourselves. So I feel that we need to put a lot in that environment. We need to repackage agriculture in Nigeria. We have the land, we have the people. So why should we be hungry? So I think there's a whole lot needs to be done in that direction. The Minister of Agriculture must wake up and become alive to its responsibility. Feeding ourselves is not something that's like a rocket science. If you have been on that seat for the past 12 months, major food items we should be able to have. We should be able to guarantee ourselves of rice, guarantee tomatoes, guarantee cassava. So many things we can do in this short period of time. And all that we need to do is how we engage with stakeholders so that people can get into community farming where we are able to collectively protect ourselves, and things like this can happen. And a whole lot of things can change in the food supply. So I feel that the responsibility is on, and the onus is also on the government to see how much we can have our impact in terms of providing some of all these leverages.
No, but apart from sometime on the show last week on marketing sites, we're talking to an agric specialist, and we're asking him pertinent questions pertaining to agriculture. Like, okay, many, like you said, rightly said, many are losing interest in that sector, in the regular ways of agriculture and farming. And there were some things we found out about how, the small scale farmers are not getting access to the funds that they require. Could that be part of what the problem is in this regards?
I don't think the problem of agriculture in Nigeria is really funding. I think most of the time when we talk about fund and agriculture, sometimes I'm trying to see how to do the balance. Yes, small scale holders need, maybe funding. You see, but like you see, what do we need the fund for? To buy fertilizers, to buy seedlings, to buy tractors or something. Now, they may not be able to buy tractors, but they can hire tractors. Yeah, but what you have seen happen here is the fact that even the real core farmers are doing their farm, and they don't have these all complaints as much. Maybe new entrants, we may say people who want to get into farming. Yeah, but we also have seen that over time, even some state governments also have done enough in terms of even assisting people with seedlings, supply of fertilizers. You remember recently there was this palliative support and all these things that they said there were a whole lot of fertilizers that government has to move to the Ministry of Agri to redistribute to people. And all this were coming for free. So for me, really, I don't think it's funding. There are fundamental things that are not right. And I think this is an issue that we have to deal with, is how do we repackage agriculture so that it can become attractive for younger people to participate. And I think that's where we really need to work at.
Next headline, 8 idle oil fields offer lifeline to sinking petrodollar. So this is something that I feel is advantageous, because if these oil fields have been sitting idle, and there's a slight complaint coming from the oil sector, and they are offering a lifeline because they seem to have been rejigged, which is what I perceive the report is referring to.
Well, is it even the rejigging is in the first place? Why will our oil field be idle? That's a question. Which is again speak to the way we do things in this part of the world. We can take the fruit, but you see, we eat both the seed and the fruit. And then we are looking for seed to plant the next season. See, for a good farmer, what do? You have to preserve your seed. I know growing up as a child, you see, when we do farm, because the seed yam stays very long, and you will see that those seed yams, they are also very sweet.
Oh yeah.
And
so it's tempting to eat.
Oh yeah, you are tempted to eat it. And I remember those days my father said to you, don't try it. You don't eat your seed.
True.
You don't eat your seed. It's for planting.
Even the good book says it.
But you see, we eat everything. And the way Mesauta we call it, I think that is the Esau mentality, where you eat up everything. So you are not investing, taking care of the goose that is laying the golden egg. And this is a complaint that people in that sector had complained over time, that there have not been new investments in that sector. People are taking money from the sector. Those who own the blocks are taking the money, but they are not putting the money back into investment. You can imagine that if we were putting money into this investment, how can we be talking about idle oil field? Which means you don't even need no new exploration. The field is there, the oil is there, so it's just to drill it. So this is for me really appalling, and I think that we need to see how we can begin to be business-minded and oriented such a way that we don't waste resource. We cannot but stop talking about Saudi Aramco.
Oh, yes. It's coming up in the news, actually. They're doing phenomenal. But when they talk about sinking petrodollars, what could they be referring to? Because did the petrodollar ever sink?
Yes, it's sinking. The world is moving. The world is moving. Everybody's talking, shouting, EV.
And everybody's tilting in that direction.
Oh, yeah. So major investment is also getting on that sector.
Apart from us.
So how profitable these things will be is a thing that we have to talk about.
All right. Next, still in Africa, we're on to Business Daily in Kenya. How Kenya paid 197 billion shillings interest of debut Eurobond. So the amount is 55 shillings of 354 billion shillings borrowed in June 2014. And it's also said that costly fixed rates put commercial debts in scrutiny. There's a lot of money to be owing for a small nation such as Kenya. Yeah. And they're talking interest rate cuts. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, but you see, I have actually thought about interest rates in Africa, which is a big issue. We need to reduce the interest rates for people to be able to...
It seems to be increasing, and there's talk that they want to increase it some more even.
Yeah, but increasing it is worsening poverty. That's my argument. See, for already poor people who have no resource, for an economy that's already stifled, how do you cope? You go to other parts of the world, their rate is 1 digit. And here we are having double digits. And it's even high. So how do people lend? How do people borrow? So when you keep pushing interest up, see, it's part of the issues we're just mentioning here in terms of the food crisis. Because if the input is getting higher, food crisis is also getting higher. You saw the protest the last week in Kenya.
It was massive.
It was massive because of these issues that we're talking about.
Tax hike.
So I do hope that people will realize that interest is fundamental to capital formation. And if the businesses don't have access to capital, they cannot help society. Because government alone cannot carry the burden of developing an economy. It's not possible.
Wow. Kenya, buckle up. Still on Business Daily in Kenya, there's an article that caught our attention. Gen Zs hold less than 3% of state jobs. That is troubling.
No, but it's not troubling. And I think the really...
Gen Zs, they're the most, right, population-wise, in the whole stages of groups of age, working people between 15 to 25.
Yes.
They're the active ones. And they're holding less than 3%.
Yeah, but you understand there is...
They're the tech people, seemingly.
We have not retired the old people who are already in the job. We cannot employ so many more again. So only very few of them gain access to public employment. This is a problem. So you are looking at an environment, especially in Africa, for example, where you see people who are actively working. And we're talking about low productivity. And companies, businesses are not making profit. Government cannot expand. So this is why you find really that these people who are supposed to be very active, many of them are still dependent on their working parents because the system can absorb them. So you can imagine, for example, where you have a situation here where we are producing over 500,000 graduates in a year, how many of them can get into the employment that we're already saying is saturated?
And even if they do, how will they working? How do I put it now? How many can you take? And how many are actually qualified for those jobs?
Yeah, but it's not even in terms of qualification right now. It's even the fact that the space are not there
To fill.
because people are currently there. So you can imagine maybe of people who come out from the university yearly, you're talking about people who are graduating in the last 5-6 years. That's what we're talking about. So, and of course, we know that in this space of time, a lot has been happening, dwindling resource of government, ability to employ. And we have even seen situations where states in some places are employed, another regime come, they have to also retrench them because they say, no, look, we cannot take the wage bill. So this is the situation where they find themselves, and they are the real most unlucky people that we have wasted their energy, really, because they actually should be the reproductive force for the economy. But today we see that we can't create space for them, and there's some people too don't want to retire.
So just a little more on that. Now, is it to retire the qualified to be retired ones to make room for the Gen Zs, or is it that the Gen Z are not ready?
No,
Because
Gen
we
Zs
want to
are
know how do we mitigate this?
They are ready. It's just to see how we can creatively
Make jobs available.
and creatively see how that we develop people to be able to move them off, the secular job, and then they themselves become creative. There's something that UAE did recently, and I think about 3 or 4 years ago, and they gave people what they call sabbatical. 1 year sabbatical, and said, look, you can take a sabbatical, go and try your hand in business. If it works, remain there. If it doesn't work, you can come back. So that may help, because if people go out at that level, they would have taken some, made some saving, and they have some capital to start a new venture. If they have worked for like 20, 30 years. So those people actually could be retired, so that these new people can also come in to make enough capital. But you see, what happened recently is that people talk about experience and the rest of it, and now we're trying to see how to even elongate the retirement age. So you say for teachers now they've made it 65, for judges it's 70, and yet you have younger people who don't have places to work. So this is for me very contradictory.
And it's worrisome. Right. On to Gulf Times, Qatar's new publication. QFC and CABC sign MOU to drive sectorial development innovation. CABC, both entities entered into a memorandum of understanding that is aimed at establishing a framework for their ongoing collaboration to develop certain specific sectors through their joint initiatives. We're talking knowledge sharing, strategic supports. Once again, the growth, astronomical growth that's happening in the UAE is something that's worthy of emulation, though.
Oh yeah, you see, that environment is a thinking environment. Every time
So
I look
amazing.
at UAE, the title of the work of Napoleon Hill, I guess in my head, Think and Grow Rich. And that is what it is, because you see, every wealth that has ever been created started as an idea.
Sure.
And there's a deliberate policy in that environment to help people generate new ideas.
Right.
Why we are giving awards to entertainment in this part of the world, the biggest award and honor in the UAE is reading competition for their younger ones. Somebody did a comparison some time ago, and they said, look, people go on BB Nigeria and they can win as much as
100 million.
100 million. and then the best graduating student from your university,
True.
you cannot even give him 3 million.
It's not even published.
You see it? So, we glamorize entertainment, which, of course, may not require so much. But what the UAE do, they pride themselves in encouraging their children to read.
Deliberately.
Deliberately. So, you have a prize of almost $1 million on their reading competition annually.
There's incentives, there's encouragement.
There's encouragement for people to read. Now they have the policy in their public service. If you are working in the UAE, you must be able to contribute a minimum of 2 ideas that will move your work forward.
Yes. Yes.
In a year for you to be promoted. So, what do you see? You're seeing that people are deliberate in creating ideas that transform society. So it's little wonder that you get into UAE today, after maybe 1 year or 2 years, you will think you are in a new environment. Because these guys are investing in knowledge, they are investing in everything. For example, they are the first country in the world to establish a ministry for artificial intelligence. We are talking ICT ministry. They have a separate ministry dedicated to artificial intelligence, AI.
That's impressive.
While the world was thinking about what to do with ChatGPT, UAE has already infused in their curriculum the ethical use of AI and ChatGPT. So you can imagine how progressive a society can be.
Forward thinking.
So idea rules the world.
Correct. Oh, this is so it's so inspiring, and I hope we get to catch on. Africa, remember your focus. Next headline: Aramco awards $25 billion in contracts for gas expansion. You know, the other day we were talking about the amount of money that these guys are making. Like, I think you mentioned the number, can't remember now. Yeah. And Aramco is doing fantastic.
Oh yeah, Saudi Aramco. Over 400 billion in 1 year from gas.
From oil and gas alone. And they have other products that they are.
So, and now they are even investing completely in a new city. Now you can imagine, you can take out, see the difference. They're already making so much. Now they can set outside $25 billion
to venture in other things,
to expound the gas supply industry. You know, this principle of military economics is something that you can only ignore at your peril. Plow back profits. You know, I just gave you an example of eating the seed and the fruit. So this is an example of people who don't eat every seed. And they are able to retain some part. And they are not just building new cities, but they also know that the goose that is laying this golden egg need to be preserved. So they are investing in that sector.
Amazing stuff.
So they were the biggest beneficiary of the Ukrainian-Russia crisis in terms of gas supply. So Europe had to look up to them, and they make so much money. So, you know, our president was saying so that if we had thought like that in the year past, we would have also reaped a lot from, but it's never too late to start, and I think our people have started now, and I think we can move.
We're on our way there. Yeah. Due to the special event we have coming up this morning, we'll put an end to the show at this juncture. Remember, follow us across social media, YouTube, all of them, right, at #SBL, SOUQ Business Landscape. Thank you, Doc, for being on the show as usual. You're always a blessing. My name is Ikenna Mbah. Stay tuned for our next show as we're here on SOUQ News Television. Bye.